Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. There is another push to get this piece of legislation added into the NDAA, that is the National Defense Authorization Act. This benefit will put more money in a lot of veterans' pockets, approximately 40,000 or so. And I wanted to share it with you here, this additional information. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Every single one of you that hit the thumbs up, let the video run, help to push this into the hands of others and help the channel to reach more people, which is the ultimate goal, right? Many hands make light work. All right, if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do that by becoming a member. You can do that by going to the home page. There's highlighted members and a join button. Thank you so much to all you members. I really appreciate each and every one of you. All right, so on the U.S. Senate Committee for Veterans Affairs, it's a little, I guess, news release here on this piece of legislation, which is the Major Richard Starr Act. The headline is Tester joins combat injured veterans to urge Congress to include Major Richard Starr Act in must-pass defense bill. Tester's bipartisan bill would address longstanding injustice by delivering combat injured veterans their full military benefits. Tester recently filed the Major Richard Starr Act as an amendment to the annual must-pass defense bill. This just came out Thursday, July 18th. I'm sharing it with you here today. I did reach out to Washington, D.C., I don't know, 6 months ago or so. And, I mean, who knows? I mean, the way time moves, it could have been 8 months ago. But in any case, I spoke with the staffer there about the Major Richard Starr Act, which at that point was really slowing down on its momentum, and I asked them, hey, what's the plan? This is a great piece of legislation, and what's going to happen here? What are we doing? Where can we help? All that good stuff. And they said that if the bill did not get the traction that they were looking for, that they were going to try to insert it into another piece of bigger legislation. And look, here we are today. With the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, and seeing if we can insert, essentially, the Major Richard Starr Act as a amendment, right? So it would not be its own standalone any longer. It would just be part of the NDAA, which is fine. So let's read through this, and then I'll kind of give you my 2 cents a little bit as well, and go from there. There's some quotations from supporters as well. So, U.S. Senator John Tester, chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, today spoke alongside combat injured veterans in Billings to urge congressional action on his Major Richard Starr Act. It's bipartisan legislation that would fix an injustice currently preventing combat injured veterans with less than 20 years of military service from receiving their full benefits. I'm going to throw in here real quick. We are specifically talking about medically retired individuals, not medically discharged. Okay, not medically discharged, medically retired. Big difference between the two, because the medically retired are receiving a retirement check, where the medically discharged are not receiving a retirement check. All right, moving on. Tester filed his bipartisan bill as an amendment to the annual must-pass defense bill, the National Defense Authorization Act, last week with U.S. Senator Mike Crapo. I'm not sure how you say it. The Senate is expected to begin consideration of the NDAA next week. Right now, we're not living up to the promises we made to our combat injured veterans who were forced to retire before completing 20 years of military service, Tester said. Veterans and heroes like the folks behind me who were forced to retire because of the medical injuries they received serving aren't getting their full military benefits. We're the greatest country we're the greatest country that has ever existed on earth, but treating our veterans like this is not a good example of that. I'm gonna back up here real quick. It says the Senate is expected to begin consideration of the NDAA next week. If you support this, contact your state senators' offices, both of them, 2 offices, 2 senators, each state, right? So reach out to your senators, either by email or by phone in your state, and let them know that you support this. The more voices, the better. It's how it works. You are the constituency. All right, moving on. Tester continued, we have an opportunity like no other to fix this injustice by setting up a vote to adopt the Major Richard Starr Act as an amendment to the NDAA to fully provide medically retired combat veterans their full military benefits. We got the PACT Act done for our toxic exposed veterans when nobody said we could. Now we need to put our money where our mouth is and do the same for combat injured veterans and their families. I'm medically Let's see. Moving on, there's a quotation here. I'm medically retired from the Marine Corps under Chapter 61 in August of 2013 due to a combat-related traumatic brain injury and other injuries and conditions stemming from this incident. In essence, I was forced to retire, but also forced to forfeit my retirement pension, said Anthony Grimaldi, a combat-injured Marine Corps veteran who was medically retired and would benefit under the Major Richard Starr Act. We're not asking Congress to create and implement a new special benefit. We are simply asking for the retirement that we earned, for the retirement that we paid for with our own blood, for the retirement that we paid for with our limbs, our minds, and with our youth. Bring the Major Richard Starr Act to the floor for a vote and give our nation's combat-injured disabled veterans their earned retirement. There's no time better than now. Next one, I served 17 years. I was trying to do 20 and retire, but at that year 17 mark, my PTSD really started showing itself, and I was asked to medically retire from the military, said Adam C., an Army veteran who was forced to retire early due to combat-related PTSD. So I lost out on being able to completely finish my 20 years. The Major Richard Starr Act would have helped me and my children a ton. When I was a single parent and I got out of the military, I didn't have anything else. It was just me and my kid trying to figure out how to live in Billings, Montana without anything else. It would have helped us out immensely. We would have been able to live a little better of a life. Like John said, the Major Richard Starr Act is a no-brainer, said Randy Stiles, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 6774 commander and a medically retired Marine Corps and Army veteran. If you're a veteran and you served your country in any capacity, any combat, you need to be compensated. You need to have the entitlements you're entitled to. We need to make sure we're taking care of all veterans. We got hurt. We suffer a great deal. A lot of people don't see. Congress, get your act together and pass this bill as an amendment. Named in honor of decorated war veteran Major Richard Starr, who was forced to medically retire due to his combat injuries, the Major Richard Starr Act would provide medically retired combat veterans with less than 20 years of military service their full military benefits. It is a top legislative priority for Tester and veterans groups in Montana and across the nation. A staunch advocate for delivering veterans their earned benefits in health care, Senator Tester has been leading the charge to fix current systems and prevent combat injured veterans from receiving their earned benefits with less than 20 years of their military service, and that would include their DOD retirement and their VA disability payments. His bipartisan Major Richard Starr Act will fix this policy for medically retired veterans, providing them with their full disability and DOD retirement payments. Let me put it this way real quick for you. If they just made a change and said that retired military personnel could receive both versus retired with 20 years or more, right? If you remove the 20 years or more aspect from being able to receive concurrently your VA disability and your military retirement, that would fix it, right? Remove the 20-year requirement and just say retired. Under any means, just retired. If you're retired from the military, you should be able to receive both. So with that, reach out to your senators and let them know that you support the amendment to the NDAA of the Major Richard Starr Act, right? That is the amendment Major Richard Starr Act being added into the NDAA. And any way you say it, they'll understand what you're talking about. You can shoot them an email, you can give them a phone call, you can swing by their office, speak with a staffer, whatever you need to do to get your voice out there. I will also throw this out there. Doesn't just need to be veterans making those phone calls, right? It could be family members, spouses, adult children, parents, anybody. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.